how many friends do you think we really need? Because I've been thinking about it lately, and since I'm a person who always moves around, who goes to places like countries, and I don't think I've never stayed in the one single city for a very long time since, I don't know, since Jeju, when I left Jeju, until I left Jeju when I was 18, 19. So after that, I've been living in Busan, Seoul, and Tokyo. So yeah, I've been moving around a lot. And to me, having friends kind of also meant that they're not going to be my forever friends. It sounds really weird, but I think I've always known that the friends I'm hanging out right now aren't going to be my forever friends. I'm not saying they were nice people, but I just wanted to emphasize the fact that I knew that friendships sometimes expires without any other circumstances. It just happens, it just expires. And also, I think I always knew that I'm going to move around a lot, and I'm going to move around the cities and countries, which means every time I meet my friend, I know that I'm not gonna be with them forever. It can be them changing cities, it can be me moving around, and it can be situation, it can be circumstances that life does to you. So I think it was Seoul that taught me how to handle the concept of loneliness, because I think I talked about this, about the loneliness, the topic loneliness, is that before I turned 18, 19, since the first year of college, I really didn't know about the feeling of loneliness, because I was always surrounded with people. My mum was always at home, and my dad was an amazing dad, so I've never felt like nobody supports me or nobody loves me, because I always was surrounded people, the people that I care. But since I graduated, even before graduation of university, I was always surrounded with my friends, and they were lovely friends that I still in a good relationship with. And so basically, after I graduated university and you became a person who works in a corporate jobs, and since me moving to Japan, studying Japanese for 1 year, since then I think I was kind of trying to understand about how I'm going to I'm going to cope with loneliness, because it was that exact moment that I graduated university and from Japan maybe, that I realised that basically, if you graduate university, if you graduate from schools, you have to kind of it gets really, really complicated to make a spare time for corporate job workers to meet, if you know what I mean, because everybody have their schedules, and basically, except weekends, it's almost impossible to meet those actively working people at a one single time. For example, there can be a friend who works in schedules who don't work. There could be someone who works on weekends, but sometimes have a very irregular holidays. For example, my friend who works in a hotel, she always works in schedule, which means even though I'm really free during the weekends, she might be working. And even though there could be some day that I am completely free on Wednesday, maybe because it's a national holiday, but sometimes she has to work in the national holidays, because in holidays, hotels is the biggest and busiest season for her. So according to what kind of job they're working, it's extremely hard to meet someone, because basically we don't have many spare times. Which means, except work, it's extremely hard to meet someone, even though they are your very long-lasting friends, even though they are, friends from high school or college, whatever. So since then I started to realize that maybe facing with the fact, the loneliness, and the fact that you feel a kind of empty because there's no around you, because most of the beginning of the career, it's you just starting on your own, right? Not many people, well, I don't know what it's like, maybe in Korea a lot of social workers, a lot of corporate job workers, they do commute from their house, a house they live with their parents. A lot of people do. But in my case, I had no choice because I was born and raised in Jeju, and my first job was in Seoul, which means I have no choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to have a private jet? No, like, no, absolutely not that case for me. So I was inevitably had to be alone from Seoul. I don't think I've been that crazy lonely when I was in Busan. Again, thanks to my friends, and I was a student, which I had a lot lower standard when it comes to making friends, because I remember I was more actively looking for new relationships, not really with the romantic relationship, but like any kind of relationship. I remember at the end of the university years, like I think it was like a fifth year, the last year of uni, because it was an architect. It was a 5 years course in Korea. So on my fifth year of university, I was so determined to make a new relationship, a new connection, because I was thinking that I'm so stuck in the architecture department. Everyone's around me is studying architect. Everyone is planning to be an architect, whatever. So I was kind of determined to meet someone who is kind of outside of that barrier, because I was always stuck with that architecture professors, architecture students, those who are so passionate with architecture, basically. So since the first day of university, I went out and I got into like a English club. I think I talked about it earlier in the podcast. I met really nice friends. Those people that I'm still in contact with, we already had chatted like a few weeks ago about how's life right now, how's life lately. Like one of them got married and one of them got like twins. They're like a few months old, and we chatted about, your current situation. So again, since first year, I was pretty determined to meet new people, and I was basically more assertive and active when it comes to making friends, not only with friend, but I remember that I was also active when it comes to like making boyfriends. It sounds weird, but I think I was more active and assertive when it comes to like, when I found someone attractive, I would just don't really hesitate, because I know that it's really rare to find someone attractive in my perspective, because everybody has taste. And for me, I always found it really lucky and really like a great moment to kind of appeal, like just tell something about myself to that person that I feel attracted to. Anyways, so I was more attracted to make new connections, basically, eventually. But I remember I was feeling more comfortable with new people, new connection when I was a lot younger, like 18, 19, first year of uni. But the more I age, I started to realize that I don't really feel that comfortable. I don't really feel the need to make new connections, actually. Well, like, don't get me wrong, I still love meeting new friends, new people, but not in a same sense of, I think when I was a lot younger, I think I was more expecting more like deep relationship. I had expectations, okay? I was thinking that those people that I met last night, whatever, it could be an architect, a group that you meet, like those who works in architecture field industry, and it's like a group meeting, and you had an amazing time. And at the moment, I would kind of expect that if I go to that place, if I attend that kind of meeting, then I would be able to make a good friend. And I remember I went to several like book clubs and English clubs, kind of expecting that I will have a great connection with any of them while I'm staying there. But the fact is, I just realized that even though you have that expectation, having a deep, meaningful connection with people is incredibly hard because everybody have that boundaries, everybody have that vulnerability when it comes to having new connection, whether it's like when it comes to personal relationship, except jobs and everything. And the youngest version of myself was more active, and I was more expecting that, oh, I'm gonna be really good friend with her, I'm gonna be really nice, I'll have a really nice like future with that person. But the more I attend to those kind of meetings, more I went to those kind of clubs, don't get me wrong, like English clubs and book clubs and everything, I was expecting to make new friends simply by attending that kind of club, that kind of group meeting. But the more I went, I just started to feel more empty. Like, maybe I went there without, maybe because I went there with, not with a pure intention, if you know what I mean. Like, I think it would have been much better if I went to book club with 100% intention of reading books and getting to know nice books. But at that time, when I was younger, I remember I went to those kind of places to kind of expecting some connections because I love people, I love hanging out with people. But the more I attend to that kind of like very spontaneous group meeting, for example, I remember there was a book club so it's a book club that is made by a single like company, and basically they would accept people who's gonna attend to this specific time, a specific place. It can be one cafe in Busan, and anyone can choose the time and where to attend that book clubs because it's all around the country, and you can choose whatever. So yeah, I remember I went to that book club almost every week, and I didn't really feel okay. Now I'm gonna just say it loud. Yes, I love books, but it was the end of the university years, and I was kind of expecting I might be able to have a really wonderful friends if I go that place, because basically it's a place where everyone have the similarity, which is they love reading books. But except very few cases, those kind of situations where you choose to go that place solely because you want to have new connection doesn't really work out. So the everything I'm saying right now is I just want to emphasize that, like, friendships, like really deep meaningful relationships, comes along with the very magical reasons, if you know what I mean. It sounds really weird, but I think you'll know what I mean, because human relationships so weird, and if there can be a good intention to it with oh, she looks amazing, he looks nice, I want to be a friend with him, I want to be a friend with her, even though you really want to be really close with them. Sometimes just letting everything happen by nature helps a lot when it comes to if you really need a good relationship, with a really meaningful, deep relationship. Like, the more you don't try that much with that relationship, it gets more meaningful, which means, like, those who's gonna connect are gonna connect, and those who's not gonna vibe, they're not gonna vibe forever. So, but back then, when I was younger, I think I kind of believed that the more I try with that relationship, I will have a good relationship, I will have a great friendship with him, if I try. And I was more active, I was more, I don't know. Yeah, I think I was a lot more energetic when it comes to relationships. Like, I would always ask someone to, let's hang out, let's go there, I just found it amazing exhibition opening in this place, let's just go together, kind of expecting that I'll have a deeper relationship with that person. You know, I solely because I love friends, I love hanging out with people. But that also means, now I'm gonna say it, I was kind of trying to not, like, you know, I really didn't want to agree with this, but I think I was a bit more lonely. I think I was more lonely rather than wanting to have a good relationship with someone. Yeah, I was lonely. And I think as I said it before, trying to have a good connection, trying to have a deep relationship with someone solely because you're lonely doesn't really help anything. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, most of the amazing friendships that I created in my 20s came along with a very natural sequence. It really did. And sometimes it happened very unexpectedly, and most of them happened because I had no intention to be like a great friend with her. You know what I mean? So the reason I'm saying this is that the more I move around, the more I move around and make more various friends all around the country and around the world, I just happen to realize that friendship happens very naturally, and having a deep, meaningful relationship is rare, but it's definitely so meaningful, and what really enriches the life of human life. I really believe so. And also, I want to add, like, the topic, like the title of this podcast is that those kind of meaningful relationship are the things that enriches our life, and also they're very rare. I guess, in my experience, there could be some people who have amazing, great, deep relationship with many people, with several people, but I believe that's not the many cases in the world, around the society. And the more you work, maybe you get married, and maybe you get more passionate with your work, it gets harder and harder to meet someone regularly, except they're your partner or they're family. And that kind of leads to the fact that why the grown-ups always emphasize the importance of your nuclear family, your spouse and your children, because except those close people, it's really hard to maintain a close friendship, like a friend group that you meet regularly. I mean, most of the people who works will understand. If you start to work, and that means most of your peer groups are going to start to work like very actively, and people start to get really passionate with their career, like the beginning of the career. So which means it's even hard to meet someone that you've been friends for decades. It's getting harder and harder to meet them regularly. Sometimes you end up with meeting them once a year, 2 times a year. Like the English club that I referred, those people, like, it's even lucky to meet them once a year currently, because most of them are working. Like some people are getting married. Like, so many personal circumstances that you can't control at all. So, like, yeah. So I just wanted to say, even though, like, having deep, amazing good relationship is really rare, and it's really important, really enriches your life, at the end, you kind of get to realize, after all the drama, all that chaos that you experience when you're in your 20s, you kind of get to realize that you don't really need many friends. Okay, it may sound controversial, but everyone who's maybe the end of 20s or in their 30s would be able to agree on that. We don't really need many friends. We just need a really good, deep, meaningful ones. I'm not saying like having a really wide, shallow friendship relationship is bad, because there are many people who's having that kind of relationship, of course, but I'm not saying, but at the same time, just saying that sometimes you just need just one person to just listen to you when you're down, to listen to you when you are really struggling. And sometimes the person you really thought that you really believed, and someone you really trusted they're gonna support you, sometimes abandon you. That really happens. But on the other hand, it does exist some kind of people who seemed very nonchalant and seemed very like coy with me. Sometimes they get super supportive, and they get so super like close with you very, very rapidly, you know. So there's something really magical with human relationship, you know. I remember that even in a one big group, I remember one person that was the closest when I was 20. Now I haven't been in touch with her for 7 years now. But at the time when I wasn't the closest with that person in that group, now is the closest one after 8 years and 9 years of I don't know, each other's lives. So it's really magical. It's really magical about the human relationship. You never know. And ultimately, I think the most important part that I realized is that having a good relationship with yourself and being a best friend within yourself was the core key for me to have a very robust, healthy psychological health, like mental health within me, rather than searching for that kind of stability from other person, because everyone is unstable, and you really cannot expect any stable, like, calm within other people, because everyone is stable, everyone is anxious. You really can't expect anything 100% sure from other person. You can only expect something from within yourself. So it ultimately means that having a good relationship with yourself, and also having a really deep, meaningful relationship is rare. And because it's rare, it's so important. We should all cherish it. It's something that really enriches our life, and ultimately we don't really need that many of them. Yes, they're rare, and again, we don't really need that many friends, you know. I think everyone would understand about the fact that sometimes the person that you were kind of sure that maybe you can die for them, but sometimes it turns out that they were not that important as you thought, and the person that you were very close to when you were in high school are no longer that important to you anymore. I mean, it's painful, but it's true. Those kind of friendship cycle changes all the time, except very few people. That's why I keep saying that they are the person that you should really cherish and really be supportive to them, because again, it's really rare. And again, ultimately, at the end, we don't really need that many friends, you know. And I just came to one big question about, like, how many friends do we really need? Honestly, how many friends do we really need? Because, like, for example, if I open a wedding, I don't really want that many friends, like, except family. I don't really want to invite that many friends, because, like, I want to have, like, a really good, meaningful, deep relationship for, like, group of friends that I can definitely say that they are my friends. They're not, like, temporary friends. It sounds weird, but yeah. And I was thinking, like, if, like, at the end of my life, in my deathbed, if I could say that I had a good friend, how many friends would I actually able to say that they were my friends? You know. But for me, I think I would say that my life is really successful if I could say 3 or 2. Maybe 1 is also, I would say, even having one single friend I could say that I proudly say that she's my friend, and I love her, and I will support her, whatever, and she had supported me all of my life, and that for me, that is a successful life for me. So anyways, what do you think? How many friends do we really need? Sometimes the more you experience life, you kind of started to get empty. You started to feel that kind of emptiness when it comes to relationships, don't you? And especially your friends, like, it changes all the time. Your emotion changes all the time. And at the end, I just can't stop asking myself, like, how many friends do I really have, and how many friends do I really, really care, you know? Because the more you age, you kind of accumulated too many groups and too many numbers of people that you meet at work, at school, I don't know. So yeah, because you've met so many people, whether it was deep or shallow relationship, it accumulated, and sometimes you kind of get caught up with the emptiness of that, the vagueness of the friendship, and you keep asking, like, how many friends do I really need, and how many friends do I can proudly say that I have, you know? I mean, it can be an unnecessary question, but I think I will keep having that kind of question the more I age, the more I get older, after I get married, after I have my family of my own. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking lately, and I'm really curious about the others experience and other opinion about this question, like, how many friends do we really need? For me, I would say, like, I would call myself successful if I could say, like, I have those kind of friends, like, if I have like 2 or 3 of those kind of friends. I really do, because it's really rare. It's one of the most important part of your life, but it's really rare, and it's really important, and it's something that I really should cherish. And so yeah, that's what I've been thinking lately. Again, I have an email address attached in my bio, and anyone who want to share their experience, anyone who wants to kind of yap about their current situation, it can be your education, it can be your, I don't know, something to do with boyfriend, it can be something about Korea or Japan, whatever. Just talk to me, and I would really love to share each other's opinion if you want. Okay, thank you again for listening, and I hope we can see you next week as well. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.